Hi friends, Hank Linderman here. It's March 31st, last day of March here in 2020. Very nice to see you. Sorry about the wind. Hopefully it won't be constant. It's a little chilly out. Today we're going to be talking about Social Security, Medicare, and murder most foul. Let's first talk about Social Security. We had a question yesterday from Janica Ray, and she wanted to know if I'd heard about any cuts to Social Security. So I had a quick look. This is part of President Trump's proposed budget for 2021. He is proposing some Social Security cuts, and you can get the details. I've posted on my Facebook page. You'll see some postings related to the bill according to Forbes, and that's a detailed story on Forbes magazine from February 10th. And I've also posted a link to the Democratic Budget Committee, or the Budget Committee of Congress, and Congressman John Yarmuth from Louisville, the 3rd District here in Kentucky, is the chairman of that committee, and they get into some details. There's a wonderful video that explains some of the cuts that are going on. Now, Social Security is always under attack. Like I say, this time it is related to Social Security disability insurance. When people get older, they start to get a little bit infirm. They keep trying to work, but at a certain point they may have to stop working, and they're allowed to get disability insurance, and some of that is retroactive. So for example, they want to shorten the period of time that is retroactive, and that will save some money. You know, those on fixed incomes suffer when their subsidized housing, for example, will get increased. The cost of their subsidized housing will get increased to match cost of living increases that we get for Social Security. So, and I've spoken to folks in subsidized housing. One wonderful woman in Owensboro who had suffered a terrible accident when she was in her 30s. She was working as a nurse. She had a slip and fall. She's been on a fixed income since then. She loved working, she loved being a nurse, and she's been confined to a wheelchair since then. And she was part of a home where many of the folks living there said every time there was a cost of living increase on their Social Security, the place they were living in raised the rent to match that increase, which was supposed to cover all sorts of other things: their entertainment, their food, their telephone, all their other expenses. So Social Security is always under attack. His budget, President Trump's budget, will also reduce Medicare spending by a total of $756 billion over about 9 years. That's a decrease of 7%. Part of this is they're intending to cut back on Medicare fraud, and Medicare fraud is a problem. But it seems to me that Medicare fraud might be best dealt with by letting the Justice Department look into it and following folks who are breaking the law and seeing if there's any recourse that we can have. There are also proposed cuts to Meals on Wheels. You can find the details in that Forbes article, and you should also read a little bit about the work of the Budget Committee of Congress, and that would be a way to look at that. You know, I want to talk about the recent Bob Dylan song that was just released, and the song is called Murder Most Foul. It's 17 minutes long, and I confess when I first listened to it several days ago, I listened for the first few minutes and it didn't grab me. And you're to be forgiven if you had the same reaction. But I got up this morning and honestly had a little bit of a down mood, and the sky was gray and a little cold. I got up early to go shopping. Every Tuesday in Litchfield at the Walmart from 7 till 8, their first hour, seniors like me, folks over 60, can go in and shop. And during the virus, that's a very helpful thing, so that people who are higher risk just because of their age don't have to be exposed to everyone. And it was overall a really good experience going to Walmart, and I was noticing how many people were there working. Again, I believe these are people who are these are folks who are on the front lines of dealing with the virus, along with our heroes who are working in healthcare. So when you do go to the grocery store, again, be thankful for those folks who are there. There's people who are stocking the shelves, there's people delivering the food, there's people helping you check out, helping you find items, and they deserve our thanks. I have one friend whose son is high school age, and he is working, he's working in the 2nd District at as a, helping bag groceries, and he's on the front line, and that's really to be commended, and I think we deserve, folks like that deserve our honor and our respect. Anyway, it was kind of a dark day, and I got back in the car after I'd gotten my groceries, and I had a half-an-hour drive to get back to Falls of Rough, to this beautiful site that you see here. And I turned on the Bob Dylan song. I'd also quickly read a little bit of the Lawyers, Guns, and Money blog. I think I've also posted that, which had a story about the song. And there was an important quote about it. The song, by the way, begins with a description of the murder of the assassination of John Fitzgerald Kennedy in the early 60s, in 1962, I believe. Anyway, the quote from this blog, which I've also posted, you can read it in its entirety, but it's so powerful I want to read it now. The corona pandemic has revealed just about every consequence of the short-sightedness and greed that has characterized the multinational cabal of billionaires and barons who have, over the past few decades, purchased the levers of government, loosened the social safety net, and treated a looming climate crisis as just another nuisance to shareholders. In America, where even in moments of great prosperity we have failed to invest in prudent and affordable health care, improve infrastructure, and place even cursory restrictions on special interests, we are finally seeing the full balance of the bill following the one-percenters bacchanal. In terms of human suffering and cost to our economy long term, it is so much larger than even the most dire of soothsayers had predicted. Now, those are their words. These are very tough words. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, of course, was an elite. The Kennedys were and remain an elite family in America. And it used to be that, what do you mean by an elite? An elite is someone with power and money. And that power and money can be used as a force for good. But I'm having trouble thinking of a politician at that level of elitism, of being a president and being from an elite family, that has used their powers the way JFK at least aimed to. His famous quote is, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." And that brings up the issue of service. We're back again to the people who are waiting on you in the grocery store. These are people who are in service, the people who are working for you when you show up at the hospital, the people who, just people who are providing service. These are the heroes of this epidemic right now, and that must not be forgotten. Now, as Bob Dylan sings this song, and it's pretty dark. It's only a few chords, but it's 17 minutes long. It's like a meditation, and it has an overpowering mood of loss. And I know a lot of us are sharing the feeling of loss right now, of our normal lives, of our normal routines, and even possibly our economic and our physical and spiritual health. So it's a stiff drink of water to listen to this Bob Dylan song. And if you're going to do it, you're going to need to set some time aside where you won't be disturbed, where your phone won't go off, where you won't be getting texts, where you won't be distracted. I'm not sure if I'm going to listen to it again, like I say, but part of what he does is list these terrible things that have happened in our country, beginning with the assassination of JFK, and of course Bobby Kennedy, and Martin Luther King, and on and on. But at some point he transforms and starts to talk about music, and starts to talk about songs that we listen to. And he lists specific performers, a lot of name checks. I mean, he mentions, well, you should listen to it, because he'll mention some songs that you enjoy. And it's as if what he is saying, that even in our darkest hour, that we can turn to music for healing and help. So that's a very powerful thing. We also need to acknowledge that we have some musicians who have contracted the coronavirus. Joe Diffie apparently passed away yesterday. Joe Diffie had a huge amount of country hits, including the theme song to Third Rock from the Sun. John Prine is very sick. We're hearing that he's stable, but he has been in critical condition. So we certainly all hope that John Prine will survive. Jackson Brown has been tested positive for the virus. He supposedly is doing okay from what I'm hearing, but I got news today that Ray Benson from Asleep at the Wheel, the spectacular band from Texas, Ray is also tested positive, and he announced that today. So please, all of you, send out some prayers and some thought bubbles and love to these fabulous musicians. I want to give a little bit of positive news, and there's a story at Naked Capitalism today that I'll put the link up to about developing a vaccine for the virus. And there are, according to the World Health Organization, something like 44 discrete efforts to come up with a vaccine for the virus. And 2 of them appear to be pretty far along, one from China, one from the United States, and there's another one, a joint Chinese and American vaccine team that appears to be working. So we do have reason for some hope. I want to caution all of us. I've been looking at the numbers for the virus, looking at new cases each day and the amount of deaths, and for a period of time they were increasing pretty steeply, but that increase seems to have slowed, and we're not sure yet if that's because the virus is actually slowing down, or if what I'm afraid is that we really, haven't caught up with our testing the way we need to, and that our figures are not as accurate as they should be. So this is a little bit of a moment of caution. If you are tempted to think that, oh, it's almost over because the numbers appear to be slowing, please take your time and think that one through. Because this could be just a slight lull. Maybe, if we're very lucky, it will be the end of this. We certainly would all love for this virus to end sooner than later, this pandemic to end sooner than later. There's also a little bit of good news to be taken, even in this circumstance of all of us having shut down our lives. John Openheart, I love you too, John. Great to hear from you. If you don't know about John Openheart, John, put a comment there and give everybody a link to your latest piece of music, which I got the other day. Feel free to post that. John is a wonderful singer-songwriter and has just a wonderful, positive outlook, and he's got a new song. So anyway, back to, let's talk about some of the good things of this terrible time. There's something great about all of us in the world having to stop for the same reason. We are all having to disrupt our daily routine for this shared burden. Even in this shared burden, it's good for us to stop, to have a look at our lives, to be aware of the things that really matter, our friends, our families, our music, the arts, this wonderful country, this wonderful state, this wonderful world that we live in. I spoke to some friends from Los Angeles, and they commented that, wow, the skies are incredibly clear, and so we're seeing what's happened with the airplanes grounded. We're seeing that, wow, the pollution kind of goes away. And that means that when we finish dealing with the pandemic, we can begin the process again of dealing with our serious problems, which include dealing with the pollution of the world by plastics and the damage we've been doing to the climate and our desire to save the planet enough so that our children and our grandchildren have a place that they can live. So we're going to have serious work to be done. Let's hope that this ends sooner than later, but we still need to all be prepared to go a long distance to achieve shutting this virus down. So I do want to say thank you all for watching. I hope you know that I love you, and be great to each other. And I'll see you tomorrow at the same time, 3:30 Central, 4:30 Eastern. Send some comments, send some questions. We can talk about that all tomorrow. Have a great day.